On a Journey with Giselle. I'm your host, Giselle, and thank you so much for taking the time to click that button and tune into today's episode. To my new listeners, thank you so much as well for joining in, and I cannot wait to jump into this conversation. But y'all, I just wanted to say, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. So we know we got some catching up to do. And today on the show, we're going to be talking about my favorite C word, and that's consistency. But before we do that, I want to make sure that you could stay tapped in to all the goodness that I have going on this season. So make sure you turn your notifications on and don't forget to subscribe and share. We want to get this out because this podcast is a podcast where I really want to share the journey of life. We're all on our own journey. I strongly believe that only you can define your destiny. But with that being said, I believe that we can share each other's, journeys together. We're all on our own path, but this is my journey and I'm sharing it with y'all. So y'all, how have you been? We talked about my last 10K, how that was. I've been writing, I've been reading, I've been, staying healthy, really trying to stay more locked in to my nutrition. And with that being said, that's kind of where this episode is, coming from. And with that, I've had to, really lock in on being, consistent in what I was doing. I couldn't just train and then go back to crazy eating or emotional eating. I had to be very consistent, especially because I've been running 10Ks and I've been running more than normal. So this is where this episode came from. Also, another point is I've really been locking in on my intimacy with God, drawing closer to Him and really trying to grow my understanding and my spirituality and understanding. And so I have been intentional about being intimate with God. And that's what we're going to talk about because it's really required consistency. So thank you so much. In this episode, you're going to get insight, you're going to get practical steps, and of course, you can't forget it, encouragement, of course, always. So let's start with the big consistency in eating. Why is it hard? First of all, Giselle, how do you define consistency? Well, thank you. I'm glad that you asked. I define consistency as something that is a foundation of practices that you keep working towards. And that's what consistency is to me. It's not perfection. It's just an ongoing action of practices to meet your goal or intended goal. Yeah. So with that, I wanted to talk about eating right. We're at that time where we're trying to start new habits, whether you're listening to this at the beginning of the year or in the middle of the year. There's always times where we're always trying to improve our eating. It's just a fact, right? As you get older, as you are in new transitions in your life, if you're on a weight loss journey, you really want to hone in on your eating. And that's what something that people always find hard. So I want to talk about why is that hard? That is hard because one, you get bored. To be honest, you get bored and you're like, okay, I'm doing this, but what's next, right? So we have this need to always have excitement, but it's not really that easy when you don't know how to eat. So I want to suggest, and one of the first steps I would suggest in learning how to be consistent with eating and breaking it being so hard is to set a goal. You want to set a goal, and anything that you do, set a goal and have a motivation to get to that. And the way you could do that is, be realistic. I can't tell you how many times I've had people, through training, through just, wanting to know more about me, ask hey, help me with my eating. And the biggest thing is we all are different. So you have to do what's best for you. And that's in all things consistency, but specifically with eating, you need to be realistic. You need to be, what can you do? What can I do? Can I eat healthy 3 times a day? 3 times a week or 3 times a day for 2 days. You need to figure out what is good for you. And you don't want to start heavy. Everybody's just cold turkey it. No, you got to be realistic and start small. If you're so used to doing something, cutting it off is going to allow you to go and binge and break it and relapse, And so I suggest that you set a goal and then you also start small. Then you want to practice mindful eating. So what does that look like? Mindful eating is really just paying attention to what you're eating. What are you putting in your body? How does it make you feel? So, okay, you go and eat lunch, right? For example, let's break it down, right? So for lunchtime, you notice that every day that your lunch is uh light, right? And you find yourself an hour or two after eating very hungry, so you eat more and more. And I gave that example because for me, that's something that helped me eat more healthier and more consistent and not eat so much at night, was learning that I paid attention to that my lunches were light. I was eating just a salad. So by the time dinner came, I'm like trying to pack in, and I want more and more, and it's late. And so at night I was having trouble sleeping because I was eating too late, and also my food wasn't digesting. And I saw that how I ate for lunch impacted, how I felt the next day because I was unable to sleep. So just with that, I say that to say, when you practice mindful eating, you want to pay attention to how your food is tasting. Like, do you like this? Is this what I want to keep eating? And then you want to pay attention to like how you're feeling. Like, what are you eating? So that's practicing mindful eating, being aware of how you're feeling, and looking at what you're eating. This will help you build a better relationship with food, because if people are telling you to eat food that you don't like, that's one, not being realistic. It's going to cause you not to follow in your small steps because you're not going to be able to be consistent because you want to eat other food. And then practicing mindful eating, you're seeing that you don't like this, right? So it's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So with that being said, we got setting a goal, starting small, practicing mindful eating. The next thing that I encourage is challenges. So how I started was like, okay, I'm not gonna eat candy for 7 days. That's my biggest thing. If you know I love chocolate. And so I would say that, okay, I want to cut down on it. So to be consistent in that, I would make challenges like for myself. For 7 days, I'm not eating chocolate, or I'll do like every day this week I'm gonna have something orange at lunch, and that might be an orange, that might be a carrot. I'm gonna eat something orange. You see how I threw that in? But anyways, I'm gonna have either carrots or I might have orange pepper in my lunch. But that helped me like make food more fun to eat, and not really just eat whatever, because I was creating challenges. And then add people into it so y'all can stay consistent together, and that'll be accountability. And then lastly, give yourself grace. You're not going to stay consistent forever. You're going to have your slip ups, and that's where you have to go back in and say, I'm going to try it again, and what happens if you backslide? Like I said, it's a part of the journey. You can do this, but you will slip up, and you're going to just have to get back into it and then identify where you can adjust and why you stop being consistent. Was it just a bad day? Were you emotional? Was the food not good? What is it? You need to sit down and reevaluate that. And maybe you have to reevaluate what is realistic, because it might have changed. So those are some tips that for me has helped with consistently eating. And when it's hard, giving myself grace and being okay that, hey, I might have backslid, but I'm back on it. So that is just, some tips that I wanted to give you all on how you can be consistent with your eating, because, the body is made in the kitchen, so if you're working on your weight loss journey, your toning body, whatever you're doing with your body, it starts in the kitchen. So you have to be consistent in your nutrition. And so these are tips that I just wanted to provide for y'all to help stay consistent. So next I wanted to talk about, we're going to switch it up, and we're going to talk about, something else that's close to me is feeding my soul, feeding my, spirituality. And that is just building a relationship with God and understanding him for myself, not with the internet, not what, honestly, the church, everybody is saying, but no, really knowing him. And how I kind of really wanted to do this is like, because I just felt like everything was telling me this is how it should be, this is how it should be. Like I had the church telling me, I had people that I'm listening to, but I was like, you know what, Giselle? If you get to know him by yourself, then you'll know him for you and what he says through you. And that's kind of what happened. So I want to share that with you. I know it's been a process, because I'm one of those that would read the Bible just to go to sleep, or I'll read stuff to learn about spirituality to sleep, and it didn't interest me at all. So I had to be realistic with myself and start small, like we talked about. And it was through like doing small, like, okay, I'm gonna start a Bible plan on a certain topic, or looking up words that, resonated with me. If I wanted to know what it felt like, how to feel joy, I was like, okay, where in the Bible, or where can I learn about how to find joy, and relate that to, what I'm reading in the Bible. So I had to start small. I started with looking up words, and then just doing like memorizing scripture, not scriptures, a scripture that resonated with me from that word. Then it went into, okay, I'm going to be intentional about getting up before to start my day, 5 o'clock. I'm going to read and I'm going to write down. So I encourage you to find something that's simple for you that you could start small. And don't put pressure on yourself if, your small action doesn't look like mine, because we're all on this journey. And if that's your journey, wanting to feed your soul, you have to be realistic for yourself. And then it's just like how we talk about, in wanting to change your body, you have to be able to feed your body correctly. If you're wanting to feed your soul, it's like nourishment. It's going to take like regular practice. So like every day doing something, it doesn't have to be reading a whole chapter. It doesn't have to be reading and listening to a whole sermon, but you need to put that word in you, or, what you're trying to learn in you, so you can get nurtured. You got to get nurtured. And that's how you feed the decision that you made to get closer to God and feed your soul. And then, like I said, incorporating one habit, like I'm going to read 5 verses in the Bible. Like, just incorporating. I'm going to pray. I'm going to listen to worship music. I'm going to do something to feed my soul. So you want to like create a practice out of this. And that's really all I'm saying. Consistency is a daily practice. Whether you're doing it through eating or you're doing it to feed your soul. Uh, I wanted to share this episode with you all because I feel like oftentimes we're all told like how you should do it. And if you don't do this, like this is why it's not happening. But I want you to know that whatever journey you're on, and if you're struggling, it's okay. As we talked about in this episode today, and I correlated eating and feeding your soul together because I feel like we can eat of the world and we can work on our body, but it's also our soul that has to change as well. And so for me, having and building an intimate relationship with God has helped me monitor and be aware of what I'm eating, because I do realize that my body is a temple. So I work hard to try to stay consistent in producing good in my temple and understanding what that means. So remember, it's a small step, right? Set goals, practice daily. And I want you to know that you can do it. Remember, at the end of the day, you define your destiny. And I want to say thank you so much to all my new listeners. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you'll know when I drop an episode. I will be doing more in season 3. So make sure you have that notification on. Also, you could also follow me on Instagram for daily motivation, fitness tips, and nutrition at On a Journey with G. And that's going to be at On a Journey with G. So this is one of many to come. And I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, peace, love, and happiness.